Earlier this morning, right at 7 o'clock on my second day of my 5-day commute challenge. I still would have liked to have gotten out 5 minutes earlier, but two quick things I check every morning before I take off, obviously, is going to be that I'm at full charge, and just a quick check of the tire pressures. Now, one thing I don't like about the XP 3.0 is this little rubber cap for the charge port. It's kind of finicky. Get on the road, see how the second day goes. Just beat the sun today. Weather's a bit cooler, still very nice at this time of year. Already noticed less traffic even just getting out of my residential area here. Now, one thing that's important if you're trying to commute on a bicycle is to be quite organized. This morning I wasted 5 minutes finding my backpack. Last night I said, so I don't have trouble finding my backpack, I'm gonna put it underneath my motorcycle jacket on the chair. If I had left 5 minutes earlier, I would have seen fewer cars in that merging situation. Being organized is important so that you don't waste time and get stressed out looking for things, especially if you're going to ride with some motorcycle gear. Got to make sure you know where all your gear is. And I forgot to turn my light on. It's important to be visible. Turn my auxiliary front light as well. Get it blinking. Keeping your tire pressures up is a good way to ensure that you maximize the range on your battery. I was finding there that because I'm running my pressures at 35 instead of the more common 25 to 30 that I've used sometimes, I can coast better downhill. So I was coasting at over 20 miles an hour without having to pedal or use up any of my battery. This first segment in the morning, I do use pedal assist 5 because I have to kind of keep up with traffic until I start getting on the sidewalks here. Then I'll drop it back down to 3 or 4. But 6:55 a.m. seems to be the key departure time to minimize traffic. At 7 versus 7:15, 7:20 that I left yesterday, it's still much better. Another thing I'm finding is that because the sun hasn't risen fully over the mountains yet, I wore my sunglasses that I wore yesterday, but I'm finding it's a little bit darker than I'd like it to be. So that's another tip for commuting. Have a couple of different types of eye protection, clear safety glasses and a pair of sunglasses. Those two should cover most situations. I do always like to wear eye protection. All kinds of things can fly into your eyes and you really got to protect your eyes. Even with a fender, little rocks or dirt can be kicked up, but it's mostly about insects or other debris, just if it's windy, flying into your eyes. The nice thing about an e-bike is because the speeds are lower, you don't need earplugs. The wind noise doesn't get very high, especially if you wear a full face helmet like I do. Traffic is quite a bit lower on this busy street this morning, which is nice from another standpoint. One of my concerns about commuting on an e-bike is that if you're riding next to a busy street like this, you're subject to inhaling all the fumes and emissions from the cars, which is not the healthiest situation. Long term, if you're doing this every day, could be a concern. Even if all these cars were electric cars that I was driving next to, there's a lot of contaminants on the street, oil, gasoline, rubber particles that get kicked up and you inhale them. So, but the bit of exercise you get every morning likely more than offsets that. Pros and cons to everything. So because I got out earlier, I feel like I'm battling traffic less. I'm less in a hurry to get to work on time. I basically bumped down my pedal assist to 3 most of the way downhill, and then here on these faster roads, because there's less traffic, normally I'd be in pedal assist 5. I'm feeling comfortable leaving it in pedal assist 4. So I believe I will have quite a bit more range today to get back uphill, and I'll compare it to what I saw yesterday. But pedal assist 3 seems to be the sweet spot for my particular route and terrain as far as maintaining a good speed but preserving range. At least that's my suspicion. I'll keep experimenting with that, tracking what I'm seeing. Nice and quiet downtown at this time. Much more enjoyable ride when you beat the traffic and beat rush hour. I'm also finding that I ended up with 1 volt higher on the battery state of charge, so that's quite a bit more range by keeping myself in pedal assist 3 more than 4 and 5. So that's going to be the sweet spot, I think. Another thing about the XP 3.0 I'm not thrilled about is having to put the key underneath the bike instead of on the side like a lot of other e-bikes. Getting ready to head home at the end of my second day in a row commuting on the Lectric. I'm starting out with better voltage than I did yesterday because I took it easier on the way in. Experimenting with a few different routes, trying to see which is the most efficient and safest and fun in a sense. This route I'm taking has a little bit more dedicated bike lanes on the way back home. It's going to be a little bit slower and maybe a little bit longer, but I think overall safer. And I'm going to keep things at pedal assist 3, and I should end up with quite a bit more range when I get home, even if the distance is longer, just because I'm not going to be stressing the bike so much on the uphill sections, taking my time. And like many bike lanes in the city, they just end and don't let you get to a useful spot all the way. So we're going to go back across onto the sidewalks parallel to Mesa Street. Weather is definitely getting warmer. I think we're actually having a couple of days where it's going to hit the 80s this week. Might have to switch to my mesh pants. The problem with the mesh pants is that they're not over pants, they fit tighter, so I may have to take my work slacks in my backpack and change at work, but they're a lot more comfortable and nice and cool, and they're a light color, matches this jacket. So wearing light colored gear and mesh gear still helps you keep protected on the e-bike when riding in the summer or hotter weather, especially because you only have to work as hard as you want. You don't have to pedal the whole time, and when you do pedal, it's assisted. Let's see if the construction workers decided to block my sidewalk again. Yes, they did, but this time I'm gonna go around it through the parking lot. Normally I would cross back over here because I believe I'm gonna run into some unpaved sections of sidewalk if I continue on this side, but let's see if the Lectric can handle it. It should be pretty mild off-roading, but here we go. Let's see what it looks like. Now this is just a dirty sidewalk, not off-road yet really, but this bit of sidewalk here has been in construction for years and years and years, and okay, it's not only in construction, but it's gonna force me onto the street. This turn only lane here though is not really utilized since it goes into a construction site. There's a little bit of a ramp to get onto the sidewalk here. Okay, there's some cones protecting me for a bit here. And this is an Alamo Drafthouse movie theater here to the right, which during the week at this time I don't think there's going to be a lot of people there. Then we hit another section of sidewalk without cement. Let's see how this goes. Not too bad. Some rocks. Okay. Yeah, the Lectric can handle that level of off-roading. And there we go. Yeah, I don't know if that's better than just crossing over. Just crossing over it and staying on paved sidewalks. That's a little bit too much of an adventure there. Whee! Whee! Day 2 complete. No major incidents. A few more interesting things to see. I'll check the voltage when I park. Final voltage at 48.6, 48.5 volts. I'll calculate what the range is. Second day in a row, things are going well. I'll try day 3 tomorrow. If you find this type of content useful, please consider subscribing and hit that like button to be notified of future content.